Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh! Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is Thursday, November 13th. It's 4:03 p.m. Arrowhead time. Patrick Allen here with you for another episode of the OG Hour, joined by the original OG, the blog father, Adam Best. Adam, how you doing, man? This is Chiefs football's back.
I'm good. Yeah. Ready for Chiefs football to be back. It's always nice to get a little break and come back refreshed, but I'm ready. Speaking of the date, are you upset that it's not Friday the 13th, that we just missed it by a day?
Yeah, there's like a meme that goes around of like a cartoon Jason Voorhees looking at a calendar that says Thursday the 14th or Thursday the 13th and like looking like sad. You know, that's me when it's so close. As somebody who, as everyone knows, big horror guy, I was born on Friday the 13th in the midnight hour, like 12:18, Friday the 13th. I mean, it's part of my personality. So yeah, I'm bummed, man. Give me more Friday the 13th. I take it off of work whenever it happens.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Spend the whole day watching horror movies and celebrating.
Speaking of movies, one of my favorite movies growing up was The Running Man. And there's a new version of The Running Man that comes out tomorrow. You're a Stephen King guy, right? He originally wrote this book under the pseudonym Richard Walter. He wrote some books. The Long Walk was another one that he did under that name. But I guess this is more faithful to the original vision than the campy 80s Arnold movie, which I absolutely love. It's hilarious. You know, you got Jesse the Body Ventura and Jim Brown running around. You got Richard Dawson from Family Feud as a game show host, just absolutely killing it. But
I've never seen it. I don't know this one.
Oh, it's really good. I mean, basically the premise is, Arnold was like wrongfully imprisoned, but he had a prison break. And, you know, during his prison break, he just looks like the greatest specimen ever. And this was really kind of ahead of its time because it predicted reality TV. And they see this guy and they're like, we got to put him in this game show. And what this game show is basically convicts have a chance to win their freedom, but they have to like fight to the death against these gladiators who are kind of like a cross between Roman gladiators and, I don't know, 1980s WWF wrestlers. And it's bizarre, but yeah, it's kind of prophetic in its predicting of reality TV. So
sounds right up my alley. Shout out to everybody watching. This is the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you're watching live and you're on YouTube, what are you doing? Hit that like button. I see Becky out there. What's up, Becky? Gary, what's up, Jalen? We get a comment from Dog Peter. I trust our offense to score on their defense more than I trust their offense to score on our defense based on the Broncos' last game. Yeah, we're going to get into the Broncos game. Huge game. Every game, really, from this point on is huge for the Chiefs. But if you were unfortunate enough to endure the last Broncos game against it was nobody, like the Broncos won the game, but we all lost is basically the only way to put that. They are not good, but we got a great show for you guys today. I mean, it's I just think there's so much to talk about. Yes, we're going to talk about the Broncos Raiders game. We'll preview that. We'll give you our predictions and everything. But like in general, I mean, there's just a lot to talk about in terms of where the Chiefs are now, what they have to do. A whole bye week went by. The Chargers won. The Broncos won. And so there's just a lot on the table to talk about. Let's dive in with the news. This happened earlier today. Our old pal, Khalen Saunders, was cut by the Jaguars. So he's back on the market. Are you just finding this out? Did you not know?
I did not know.
So Khalen, not Colin, I believe is what he goes by on Twitter. He's going to be subject to waivers. He is a vested veteran, but after the trade deadline, everybody has to pass through waivers. That's the way it works. So he has not, I don't know. I didn't have a ton of time to do research on him today. I had a lot of meetings on what's happened. He left the Chiefs. He signed with the Saints, as you may recall. It was like a 3-year contract, not crazy money. He played there for a couple years. You remember last year he had he stuck his paw out and intercepted the ball that bounced off at Juju in red zone and ran it back like 37 yards. He looked pretty spry.
Homeboy was rumbling.
He was moving. I was watching the clip earlier today, and one of his teammates runs up to him when he gets to about the 9-yard line, and it's it's probably, I think, a cornerback or something, and he's sort of like, you could tell he's like saying to Colin, like, "Do you want to give me the ball? Because you're 324 pounds or whatever, And Colin just he just stiff arms him out of the way, and he's like, "No way, man. I'm a big man. I'm running. I got the ball. It's my one opportunity to do this." And he does great. He breaks about this. He could have gone even farther had that guy just blocked for him, but he was just like, "Hey, give me the ball." Like they had space to do it. It's a great little clip. It's all over. You can find it on Twitter. But so if he passes through waivers now this year, again, I didn't get a chance to look up what was going on. He got traded from the Saints to the Jaguars, I think in August. So it was right before the season started. And then he didn't really play. They traded Colin for a center. So he's been in 2 games. He has 3 tackles on the year. So the Jaguars defense is pretty good this year, particularly early in the season. It might just be that they needed some depth. He wasn't in training camp. So it's not necessarily an indictment on he's just not any good anymore. It just might be that he's there as an emergency option, a veteran guy. They're not going to use him. And you'll see this time of the year after the trade deadline passes. If they may have, teams will put guys out. Maybe they put Khalen Saunders out. They probably didn't bother, but they might have. Hey, he's available. Nobody bit. Maybe they got a young guy from the practice squad they want to call up. He's there on he's on the end of his deal. They cut him. It's sometimes they'll do it as a little nod to veterans too, right? They're like, "We're not going to play you. Go sign on with another team for the stretch run if you want." And so that's what's happening here. So somebody could claim him if they feel like they need defensive tackle depth. But again, the same issue that the Jaguars probably ran into here is that he just was learning the playbook. He wasn't in training camp. There's one team that has a need and could plug him in instantly, just like they did with Big Mike Pennell. And he could play, he literally could play next week for the Chiefs if he needed to, and that's Khalen Saunders. So what's your take on this? Do you think the Chiefs should go get him?
I do think they should go get him. And the thing about waivers is it has to kind of be a two-way street. I think when we think about it, we almost think about it like fantasy football. Whoever wants him gets him, but he and his agent can put the message out that Kansas City wants him. He feels comfortable there. He's going back to Kansas City. He doesn't want to sign anywhere else. And, teams will probably just be hands off for a player like him. If it was a player of a higher profile, maybe they'd take a chance. But
you pick up their contract for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, I think he can be a bit of an innings eater and maybe help keep Chris Jones off the field a little bit. I also think back to a time where Andy Reid was experimenting with him at fullback. I was actually at a game at Arrowhead versus the Rams where they put him in a goal line package. Yeah, I think with the Chiefs refusing to run sneaks, even if it's 3 or 4 times a year that they could potentially use this guy, it still could be valuable, right? I don't understand why they won't sneak it. At this point, I think it's driving us all crazy because it's one of the most automatic plays in football. And at a time when 2 of the biggest contenders in football are running the tush push, the Chiefs won't even sneak it, which really is kind of tying a hand behind your back. But I don't know. I just love the Don Terry Poe. I love getting I grew up on those refrigerator Perry years, So
Yeah, I mean, look, Saunders he's a guy I always liked. I hated to see him go. He was a 3rd-round pick. He was never a world beater, right? But he is a guy who has incredible athleticism. If you go and look at the clips you saw it even last year, and I think he's 29 now. For such a big man, he can move. He's fast. He's physical, strong. So he would have, and he had him in Kansas City. Like, he had these flash plays. He wasn't as consistent as you would like, but he'll have flash plays. He'll win and get into the backfield and get a huge tackle for a loss. This is a great guy to have in your rotation if you're the Chiefs, especially with the way Derek Notty's playing right now, which essentially you might be doing better if you put a road cone out there. So, like, yeah, I say go get him, get the band back together. These guys are not they're not young. They're not on the apex of their career anymore. But at this point, the trade deadline is over. Your options are limited. So you didn't trade for anybody. Go ahead, pick this guy up, and maybe the Chiefs knew they could get him back. Maybe there's some backdoor communication there. Who knows? But they need the help. By the way, shout out to Chris, who just joined AA Rookie Camp. My old pal Crayfish from way back in the early days of the Chiefs blogosphere. Good to see you, man. And thanks for joining. We've been doing this for so long, Adam. It's good to. Whatever happened to Merlin? Merlin, are you out there?
I know, man. Like, yeah.
He wrote for the site for years and years and years. And then I lost touch with a lot of the guys when I moved on from the website to my current role, like Double D and Merlin and some of the old school guys that hung around AA and Arrowhead.
Redbeard. I don't even know if you remember Redbeard.
Yeah, I do. But anyway, Colin's available. We'll see. Waivers won't run until next Tuesday. So the Jags went ahead and waited until, another week. So we'll see. Keep an eye on this space. Okay. Next up is, let's just do a quick practice update ahead of Chiefs Broncos. Couple notes. So the Chiefs injury report for Thursday is out. The Broncos is not yet because they're an hour behind. So on the Chiefs side for Thursday, Isiah Pacheco did not practice. He didn't practice yesterday. He didn't practice today. Him not being limited on Thursday, it's very, very unlikely that he's going to play on Sunday. You would want to see limited participation probably by Wednesday or Thursday this week, and then potentially a full participation by Friday. Does this just make you more and more furious about the fact that the Chiefs didn't trade for anybody? And is it finally going to be Elijah Mitchell time?
Oh, God, things are bleak. And I was kind of banging the Elijah Mitchell drum this summer, but we didn't know he was washed. He looks like he's lost the juice he had at one time in San Francisco. That system wore him down. He's not the most durable guy. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting on the field in front of him, I have no hope for a player that can't beat out CEH at this point. I just have no hope for Elijah Mitchell.
Unless he's hurt, but why is he on the roster? He's just, you know what I mean? Like he's on the 53, Adam. At least CEH was on the practice squad, not taking up a roster spot, right? Like an emergency break glass option. Mitchell's still on the roster. Like, I don't understand.
He's just a roster clogger. And I was watching the games last Sunday, and Devon Achane was just terrorizing the Bills. And you're sitting here thinking, man, we couldn't expose their weakness because of the way this roster is constructed, the way this offense is constructed. Like, it has the weakest, arguably, running back room in the league. And then on red zone, Breece Hall pops up. He has a 40-yard reception touchdown where he just looks blazing fast. I mean, it's not the blocking. The blocking wasn't bad, but it wasn't the blocking. It was like over expected. Like, this dude is he's just a highlight maker, and that just made me think, I hope the Chiefs didn't screw the pooch.
It's maddening. It's amazing that Breece Hall can do anything on that team, anything, because
especially without Garrett Wilson,
right now they don't have Garrett Wilson. They have no quarterback, no defense. It's just insane. But I promised we'd move on from him. We're going to move on because maybe we could sign him in the offseason, but we got business to attend to first. So the Chiefs are going to be hurting at running back again. You might see more handoffs to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe they try Elijah Mitchell out there. We don't know what's going to happen there. Brashard Smith, they don't seem to think is an every down between the tackles guy for them. So get ready to learn Kareem Hunt, buddy, because that's what you're going to get.
I will say that after the bye week, sometimes Andy Reid has shown a willingness to get offensive rookies more involved, skill players. We saw this with Worthy. We saw it with Pacheco himself. We saw it with especially Rashee Rice. I don't know. Maybe they had a little blocking boot camp. They got him a little bit more comfortable. I don't think they should be slamming him up the middle, but gimmick touches, little dump offs. He hasn't had a reception in his last 2 games. And I just think that's criminally mismanaging your talent. This is a guy who should be getting 3 or 4 receptions a game. I don't want those receptions going to Kareem Hunt. He's got good hands, but he's just going to turn around and fall down. I don't want those receptions going to Isiah Pacheco because he does not have good hands. Yeah. Brashard Smith does. And I think, I don't know. We talked about it yesterday, Sterling and I, that Xavier Worthy is being used a little too gimmicky and Brashard Smith isn't being used gimmicky enough. Give some of those gimmick touches to Brashard and use Worthy like an actual big boy receiver,
Well, and I've got bad news for you because popped up on the injury report today, was not on the injury report yesterday, is one Worthy Xavier with limited participation with an ankle injury. So maybe he just rolled it or something in practice yesterday, but that's not what you want to see ahead of this game. Everybody else that's on the report was a full participant with the exception of George Karlaftis, who the last 2 days has been limited with a thumb. It's a thumb. He's going to play. He'll be fine. He probably jammed it. They're not going to, he'll be all right. He'll be out there.
I feel like George, they could say like arm fell off, probable,
Right. Yeah. We don't have to worry about George. On the Broncos side, again, we only have the Wednesday report, but there are some big time injuries for the Broncos. Nate Atkins at tight end did not practice. He's not too much of a factor. J.K. Dobbins, though, has a foot injury. There's talk he could land on IR. He did not practice. They have a young guy back there. I always confuse him with the guy in Pittsburgh. What's the Harvey? RJ Harvey, right? He's the Broncos guy. He's looked good. Like he's explosive. He's young. A lot of people thought he would start over J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins has been good too this year, but Sean Payton, these coaches, they like to go with the veteran guy, especially if they're getting the production. So Dobbins being out it's a good thing for the Chiefs because it gives them one less option in the running game. He's a veteran, so on and he's good. But it's not like they're getting, somebody old like Kareem Hunt or something like that. Like Harvey's got juice and he could catch the ball. The Chiefs are going to have to be careful here. It's good that he's a rookie, so maybe they can mess with him a little bit, maybe take advantage of him, in the backfield if he has to block. But he's going to be out there. Jonah Ellis, their outside linebacker, did not practice with the hamstring yesterday. Trent Sherfield, wide receiver, he doesn't play. Did not practice with a toe. And then Alex Singleton, very unfortunately, he's a team captain for them. He's their leader in tackles, inside linebacker, has been diagnosed with testicular cancer. He had surgery for that. Seems like everything went well. He plans to be back. Our thoughts go out to him and his family, and we wish him a speedy recovery and all that. And we would much rather have him out there competing against the Chiefs. So hopefully he'll be back there for the next one, because we certainly we'll take a little bit of fortune, but we don't want guys out for reasons like that. So wishing him the best. That's a big loss for them on the defensive side of the ball. And also they're without Pat Surtain, who has a pec injury, landed on IR as well. He's not going to be playing in this one. So from a football perspective, the strength of this Broncos team is the defense. They're still going to be pretty good. But this is a blow losing Singleton and Surtain, and provides a little bit of an opening for the Chiefs on offense.
When I look at Dobbins being out and Surtain being out, I see that playing into the Chiefs' ideal game script. I like RJ Harvey, but he's not been very good as a rusher. He's not been efficient as a rusher. He's an explosive pass catcher. I think he is probably one of the better pass catching backs in the league, or is about to be. But I just don't know that he can keep the chains moving and keep the Chiefs off the field like J.K. Dobbins can. And then you take Pat Surtain out, their best corner. Well, that weakens their pass defense. And the Chiefs are going to want to come out, throw all over the place, rack up points, and control this game, like dictate the way this game goes. And I think the Broncos would want to do the same thing. They'd want to like run the ball, have things, make things easy for Bo Nix. A lot of first reads, a lot of play action, some bootlegs, just matriculate long drives. And I don't know that they're going to be able to do that without Dobbins, because they're probably looking at Harvey, Tyler Bidet, and Jaleel McLaughlin. Those are like 3 third down backs. They all look like scat backs to me. They don't have a bruiser like Dobbins who can handle, I don't know, something like 20 carries.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll dive into more the minutia of this game here in just a little bit, but the injuries could matter for a team like Denver, who's starting to they've got a good record and they've won 7 games in a row, but they're starting to show some cracks. All right, hey, Chiefs Kingdom, we got another great giveaway ready for our Arrowhead Addict family. Every month, we're running an exclusive giveaway just for our Arrowhead Addict members. And this November, we've got some fantastic prizes lined up. If you're in our Ring of Honor tier, you're in the running to winning Xavier Worthy jersey. And for all the other amazing members, you're in for a Chiefs t-shirt. So if you're not already a member, join just like my guy Crayfish did, and you'll be eligible to win. All you have to do is be a member by the end of November. Just remember that. We'll announce these giveaways live on the OG Hour the first Thursday of every month, so be sure to tune in. Signing up is easy. Just click the link in the description on our YouTube videos. Arrowhead Addict members not only get entered into these exclusive giveaways, but they also get access to our private Discord with the hosts, special member happy hours, fantasy football leagues, and more. We'd love to get to know you better. So what are you waiting for? Become an Arrowhead Addict member today. By the way, our September winners, the Ring of Honor, Joe Thibert won, I believe it was a Joshua Simmons jersey, and starting 11, Joey Zook is going to get a Chiefs hat. So make sure you get in touch with producer Richard if you haven't already. All right, let's move into the state of the kingdom. That's what I'm calling this segment, Adam. And this is a position that we're not, I mean, honestly, like in a lot of years, by the time we get to the Thanksgiving, the Chiefs have the AFC West locked up. They're really, really, really up against it right now. When you look at it in a vacuum, 4 losses, well, what's the big deal? This is a team capable of rattling off long winning streaks. We've seen it over and over and over again during the Andy Reid and Mahomes era, even with Alex Smith. But here's where the Chiefs are. Okay, let's just set the table. So, and my big question for you, Adam, is how worried should the Chiefs Kingdom be as this team embarks on the second half of the season? So they're currently the 8th seed in the AFC, which means they're not in the playoffs. The AFC West standings are as follows. The Broncos are 8-2. The Chargers are 7-3, and they have a win against the Chiefs already. And Kansas City is 5-4. Here's Denver's remaining schedule, and I put the key games here. I'm going to give you their schedule. So here's the games they got left. Home against the Chiefs, then they go on their bye. At Washington, at Vegas, home against Green Bay, home against Jacksonville, at Arrowhead, and then home against the Chargers. The key games for that, for me, are the Chiefs twice, obviously, the Packers, the Chargers in Week 18. Chargers' remaining schedule is as follows. They got Jacksonville this weekend. They're on the road. Then they go home against the Raiders, home against the Eagles, on the road at Arrowhead, on the road at Dallas, home against the Houston Texans, and in Week 18 on the road against Denver. I've got the key games in that one. Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Broncos. But let's go back to my original question, Adam. Now that the table is set, How concerned should Chiefs fans be at the Chiefs' current position?
I think they should be concerned, but not that concerned. Speaking of tables, I believe the Chiefs have a great chance to run the table. They're starting off catching the Broncos in a good spot. I know this game is in Denver, and that's a place where the Chiefs have traditionally struggled a bit. They've won there quite a few times during the Mahomes era, but you're getting them off a bye. And we know how Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are off the bye week. And also, like we said, their best player on the entire roster, Surtain, is out. J.K. Dobbins is out. They're down their middle linebacker, and they looked putrid about 10 days ago. They played a game against the Raiders. They're not as rested. They're not as prepared. I think the Chiefs are going to go in there as desperate as we've seen the Chiefs in years off a bye week and take care of business. Then they get the Colts. And a month ago, you would have been shaking in your boots a little bit about this game. But we've seen the Colts get exposed a little bit. And I think he's very similar to Bo Nix. I know Daniel Jones has a better supporting cast, but if you can get a lead on the Colts and make them go away from Jonathan Taylor a little bit and force Daniel Jones to throw more and put the game more on his shoulders, I don't think he's built to do that. I don't think Shane Steichen wants him to do that. That game is at Arrowhead. I have a feeling that the Chiefs were probably starting to prepare for them a bit as well during the bye week. And then the Cowboys just got blown out by the Cardinals, the lowly Cardinals on Monday Night Football in Jerry World, when Jerry Jones was thumping his chest about making all these big trades and trying to be the center of attention. They got their ass kicked by a backup quarterback on Monday Night Football. The Texans, they needed a Davis Mills miracle to just beat the Jaguars. And I know the Jaguars beat the Chiefs. That was a fluky game. God, sirens are going crazy here in the background. So if you can
that's how I feel about the season right now. Call the ambulance. Call everybody.
They're trying to make me more concerned than I am, but I just the Jags win did not impress me. I'm not that scared of the Texans. I think they have a phenomenal defense, but that offense is broken. The Chargers are down 2 offensive tackles, and nobody knows better than Chiefs fans how hard it is, even for a great quarterback like Justin Herbert, to not have good tackle play. And I think that that's going to hurt them. I don't think they have a lot of stars on the defensive side of the ball, and that game's going to be at Arrowhead. And once the Chiefs have seen somebody, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, they always come into that second game better. This has been the thing with the Buffalo Bills for the last 5 or 6 years in the playoffs, is that the Chiefs have made better adjustments. So I feel good about that. The Titans, I don't have to waste time talking about the Titans, right? If you can beat the Broncos in Denver, you can beat them in Arrowhead. And then we finish with this Geno Smith, Chip Kelly abomination in Vegas. It's still weird saying the Raiders are Vegas, but you can't be impressed by them. They traded Jacoby Myers. It feels like they are already looking ahead. I don't even know. I mean, it could be Kenny Pickett starting at that point. That's how bad Geno Smith has been, right? He's just been, and I've been a Geno Smith defender, but he's looked like the worst quarterback in the league. So I look at that. What is that? 8 games. And the Chiefs, with a worse roster last year, only had 1 real loss. So I think we've gotten so used to them losing, which is weird because that hasn't been the case during the Mahomes era, that we think, oh, they're probably going to lose a couple more games. Why? This is a team very capable of going on an epic run, especially when they have a week to regroup. They have Josh Simmons back, right? I think things are lined up nicely for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, you'd be insane not to look at the schedule and think that the Chiefs can't run the table, knowing what you know about this team, the personnel that they have. And it feels extra bad because the last memory we have of them is them floundering around in Buffalo against a good Bills team and losing 28-21. And so it's like the slow start combined with the really bad. What concerns me the most is the Jacksonville loss, and I'll get to that in a second. But if you take that Bills loss out of the equation, I mean, they beat Detroit. They beat Baltimore. with Lamar being in there most of the game. They took care of Detroit pretty 30-17. They killed Vegas. They killed Washington. And then they had a little bit of a blip against Buffalo. And so it makes it feel extra bad. But that team that beat Baltimore the way it did, that beat Detroit the way it did, that team is perfectly capable of beating all of the teams remaining on its schedule. What worries me the most, honestly, though, is that Jaguars game, because there's an inconsistency here with this team this year. It doesn't mean that they can't fix it and get consistent, but losing that game is the reason they're in the position that they're in. Losing to the Eagles, losing to the Chargers in week 1, like we've seen, fine. Losing to Buffalo, there's no shame in that. But losing that game to the Jaguars are not good. They blew that one. And because they have such a hard schedule, they've left themselves no room for error. But what's especially concerning is that for me, it's Denver's schedule. Okay.
Sure.
Because other than the Chiefs and the Packers, and look, Denver's not very good. Like, that offense is looking bad. They just beat the Raiders at home. They beat the Raiders 10-7. Bo Nix is like weird. Like, he has games where he looks good, and then he has games where he looks like Brody Croyle. I mean, he's chucking the ball downfield. His deep balls have been awful. I don't understand it. And it's like sometimes it seems like he rights the ship, and he'll have a couple of games he's hitting those deep balls and he's connecting with guys like Sutton, and then I've seen their games, and so he's really kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde right now, a little bit like the Chiefs. And I think the Broncos are going to go as far as Bo Nix takes them. If he plays well, their defense is good enough for them to win a lot of these games. If they beat the Chiefs in either game, but specifically this one, if they beat the Chiefs, you forget about the division. Like, you can forget about it. They're too far ahead. They're too far ahead. They have won games, much like the Chiefs did last year, by the skin of their teeth. 10-7 against Vegas. The Houston game, they almost lost that game. They won 18-15. There were other games. They played the Jets, and they beat the Jets, who were awful, 13-11. They almost lost that game. 21-17. They did beat the Eagles. So they're a weird team. They do some things really well. I think it's the defense. And then if the offense plays well, they can eke some out, but they could lose to anybody. So their remaining schedule, Washington, Jaden Daniels is out. They're kind of falling apart. Everyone's injured. They're going to play the Raiders again. Maybe, they could drop any of these games, but they've won 7 in a row, man, in the NFL. And I'm not going to sit here like people tried to do to the Chiefs last year and take away from them because they won close games and be like, they're not really that good. Like, I'm basing my opinion on how they look on the field, and but they're finding ways to win, and that's what matters in the NFL. That's how you win a division. So the Chiefs haven't done that. They didn't find a way to beat the Jaguars. They didn't find a way to beat the Bills. They didn't find a way to win that game against the Eagles. They blew it. They could have beat. So the Broncos are better right now. We got it looks like a Broncos fan in the chat says answer Jalen. He's talking to somebody else in the chat. His Broncos are especially our defense. So he's confident. Jalen's got a super chat. Says between the 3 surprise teams, Broncos, Patriots, Colts, who would you want to face the least on the road in the AFC Championship game? He says, my answer is the Patriots.
It's the Colts because they have Jonathan Taylor, but I think that receiving fleet of Warren, Pierce, Josh Downs, and Michael Pittman, I mean, it is unreal. It is maybe the most underrated group of players in the NFL. And you have I know Sean Payton is a top 5 or 6 play caller or so, but I think Shane Steichen is, if he's not in that group, he's knocking on the door. And then that defense, which is opportunistic and led by Lou Anarumo, no friend of the Chiefs in the postseason, now has Sauce Gardner, and they're playing in a dome. I think that's conducive to their offense. The Chiefs have had I'm not a extremely superstitious person, but if you think about the Chiefs' history with that particular franchise in the postseason, the Indianapolis Colts, it has not been great, right? It is. I know that they got to win the most recent matchup they met in the playoffs, but that would be my answer to that. I want to get back to really quickly the Jacksonville game and the Buffalo game, and I don't want to do a bunch of hand waving or excuse making, but I think one thing we need to understand as Chiefs fans is teams really, really, really get up for the Chiefs. And I think it is hard for the Chiefs to manufacture that same like hunger and desperation sometimes. I really do. And I think like there are a lot of people debating whether or not it's kind of harsh to say the Chiefs in the regular season is Buffalo's Super Bowl. I mean, that's like the mean-spirited way to say it. But them going down to Miami and having the ultimate letdown game just shows you how invested they were in beating the Chiefs. It was their everything. The Chiefs live rent-free in their heads. And then in terms of Jacksonville, they never get Monday Night Football games. They have a new coach. They have this exciting top 5 pick. Their coach was on the airwaves begging Jacksonville to come out and be loud and create an environment for them to beat the Chiefs. And I think this was their moment to like, if we beat the it team in the NFL on Monday Night Football, maybe people will respect us. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I do think that was a desperate, hungry Jaguars team. And the Bills, we've just seen this movie so many times with them having a bad taste in their mouth in the playoffs, being more hungry than the Chiefs for the regular season game. Then we go into the playoffs, the Chiefs make the better adjustments and beat the Bills.
Look, man, I just don't like this narrative. I get it. It's what history has been recently. But if you play with fire long enough, you're going to get burned. And
Sure.
I am not willing to excuse the Chiefs with the narrative of, well, they get everybody's best shot and they'll figure it out in the playoffs. Like, you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You should go in and take care of these teams and win these games. You should never, but they F around and they let teams like the Jaguars, who they're clearly better than, hang around, and they've done it all the time. I don't know if it's an Andy Reid thing, and I'm glad they get up for the playoffs and all that stuff. But like, they've been playing with fire. They've been playing with fire this year, and the Denver Broncos are hungry. And as the Broncos fan in the chat pointed out, they're showing up and finding ways to win the games in the fourth quarter. And the Chiefs, if they stumble, it's football, man. It's the NFL. Like, yeah, you can make excuses. You could look at the Patriots' insanely easy schedule and try to take away from what they're doing and explain it away. You know what? They're winning the games. And the Chiefs are not winning the games. And if they mess up, if there's that bad, we've seen them get so many fortunate bounces in so many games. If they end up on the wrong side of the luck or the turnover battle in a game the rest of the way, because the Denver Broncos have found ways to win games, they're toast. The fact that we're sitting here on November 13th being like, they got to win out. They have to, and I think they can do it. But who the heck wants to be in the position where you have to win 7-8 NFL games in a row against anybody? I don't care who you're playing. It's the NFL. So
I think they needed to win 6 to get in the playoffs, by the way.
It's tough though, man, because listen, if you look at the standings, they have like they're in such a weird spot because they actually have a path to the 1 seed if they went out. Like, in fact, if they do win out, there's like a good chance they could get the 1 seed in the AFC.
Probably New England, right?
Yeah, but if they win out, I think they'll have a better. They don't play the Patriots, and if they win out, they'll have a better potentially have a better conference record than the Patriots.
The Patriots would have to like lose to the Bills and lose to someone else still.
Right. And that's it totally could happen. Right. But the Chiefs do have a path, but they also have a path out. If you look at the standings right now, the playoff standings, and you look at the teams in front of the Chiefs. Okay. So like, let's say that Denver doesn't slip up or the Chiefs lose to Denver. That's the scenario I'm talking about. Like the Chiefs screw up and the AFC West goes off the table. If they win out, they'll probably win the AFC West because they'll be able to take the Broncos down a peg. They'll catch up a game when Denver's on their bye week. They get two games back on Denver. The Chargers are banged up, so they'll probably win the AFC West. But if they don't, if they lose this game to Denver and they're 5-5, and you're like, well, they just need to, get that wild card. There's 7 of them. The teams in front of them are the Jacksonville Jaguars, who they lost to. So they can't tie them or they won't get in. The Buffalo Bills in the 6th seed, a team they lost to, so they can't tie them if New England wins the division. And then the last wild card team, it's the Los Angeles Chargers, who, by the way, the Chiefs lost to. So, that's a problem. The Pittsburgh could slide out, maybe the Ravens, they could end up matched up against some other teams, but it's a huge concern. They can't, they really need to try to win out, to guarantee themselves a playoff spot, because if these other teams don't stumble, they're going to need all the wins they can get, because the division's better. And so I'm mad at them. I'm mad at them for their lack of focus this year. The Bills game, they got outplayed thoroughly, but they could have beat the Chargers. They could have beat the Eagles, and they could beat the Jaguars, and they didn't. And that's why they're
losing in Buffalo is never anything to hang your head about, right? You're losing to a top 5 perennial franchise on the road with an MVP level quarterback. I think the Jacksonville game, you mentioned Andy Reid. I just felt like he took his foot off the gas. Like they showed a little too much mercy, or they got a little too conservative, and they could have put those guys away. Man, it's crazy how season can come down to just mere moments. And there was a moment where Drew Tranquill and Nick Bolton kind of fought over an interception, and they both bobbled it. That would have put that Jacksonville game away, almost certainly. And that pick 6 on Devin Lloyd, it's a total, if they only have 3 losses, totally different situation, right? I feel like they control their own destiny a little bit more than they do. Right now, they're kind of, especially for the 1 seed, other teams are going to have to slip.
Yep. And, teams like the Patriots beat the Bills. They won some of the tough games. The Chiefs had a hard schedule. The Chiefs beat the Ravens. The Chiefs beat the Lions. They won some tough games themselves, but look, man, it is what it is. It would be horrifying for them not to make the playoffs after what we've all been through. But it is certainly on the table, and they just, they got to play consistent ball. And that's the problem that makes me the most worried, is that they haven't been playing consistent ball really the entire Andy Reid era. Remember the year with Alex Smith, they started 1-5 and then had to win out, and they made the play. So it's just it's weird, but it usually works out. So let's hope that it does. Let's
they tend to close strong too. I think that's something to hang your hat on. They tend to close strong, especially the defense. Steve Spagnuolo and the defense, they tend to get better. And this week is going to be the first time, hopefully, if Worthy can go, that all 5 receivers and Josh Simmons and this new line have all been out there together.
Yeah, Josh Simmons has been a full participant in practice, so I think he's going to play. We are going to preview Chiefs at Broncos going a mile high in just a minute. But first, I got to let you know. Look, if you're still, the holidays are coming up, right? So if you're still figuring out gifts, House of Atlas is a no-brainer. Perfect for your brother, your roommate, or even yourself. When somebody asks you what you want and you don't feel like thinking, I know my mom's, she starts hitting me up before Halloween about gifts, and I can't come up with anything. Their grooming kits make it simple to clean up. They've got a razor with the weighted handle, a precision trim edge. It's effortless. You can get a clean, smooth shave. It feels substantial. It's not like these cheap, disposable razors that you get that, plastic. It's heavy in you're running a blade across your face, for God's sake. You would think you want something that you can hang on to, and you don't feel like it's, you're playing with a children's toy that just happens to have razor blades in it. And that's what I feel like with a lot of those discount razors. So, you can get these, you can get Atlas at Target stores nationwide or online at target.com, so don't overthink it. You might notice that I have not been shaving a lot recently, but I'm not shaving, this part, but you got to line this sucker up a little bit, You don't want to be the neck beard guy. So I just hit this up the other day with my House of Atlas products. They work great. It's just nice. You're running a blade across your face, for God's sake. They've got a lot of really great products. You get like a briefcase thing that you can get, shaving cream, aftershave. They got all of it. Good aftershave is really important, by the way. They're just really like redefining, I think, men's grooming with premium tools and products designed to look good, feel good. They actually perform. Like I said, they got the precision. That's a hard word to say, by the way. Trim edge, the weighted handle with the razors. It's all good stuff. So don't stress over last-minute gifts or settle for shaving products that don't deliver. This holiday season, give yourself or someone on your list the upgrade they deserve with House of Atlas. Grab it at Target stores nationwide or online at target.com. Thank you to House of Atlas for supporting the Arrowhead Addict podcast. You do us a solid by supporting them. By the way, are you going to go full beard? Or so you gonna balancing out the stash, or are you're going to keep it like that?
I'm just going to keep it like this. I keep a little, once a week I trim this down. I like a little stubble with the mustache. It makes it not so like stark and harsh.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The mustache debuted on a bet with Sterling, and I'd always been kind of hesitant about it. Like I'm not old enough, blah, 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 blah. But mustaches have kind of become more of a thing. And I tried it and I liked it, but I didn't keep it for very long. And I had the first 2 years I did the beard because it was good luck for the Chiefs. I did the playoff beard. I did it again last year. Didn't work. So, this is what you get for being superstitious, but also try something new. So now it's the stash. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, the heck with it. Why not? Have fun. Have fun. Grow. I was telling some people today, we were in a work meeting and they complimented my beard, and I was like, I don't know, I think it looks okay. And they were like, no, it looks good. You should keep it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if my wife loves it, but you know what? Like, I'm married. I got a kid. Who do I have to impress? Well, let's go for it. I
got compared to the dad in Inside Out, who I was told is a thirst trap. I've never been compared to an animated character before, but I guess I'll take it.
Yeah. I admire your stash. You've got a lot more thickness and fullness than I can get on mine. That's for sure. It's great. You're one of these guys that gets a 5 o'clock shadow by like 3 p.m. right?
If that. I mean, it's like the Homer Simpson. You shave, and by the time you're done shaving, it's back.
Yeah.
So
that's
especially right where the mustache is. It's just
yeah. Got to moisturize. All right, let's get into Chiefs Broncos. So Chiefs are the favorites in this game. Remember, they're on the road, so they're going to Mile High, and this tells you a little something about what Vegas thinks about the Broncos, who are what did I say they are? They're 8-2. The Broncos are 8-2. The Chiefs are 5-4. The Broncos are in their own house, and Vegas says Chiefs -3.5. Now, if you're not into the betting thing, if it thinks the teams are traditionally, if Vegas thinks the teams are evenly matched, they're going to give the home team 3 points. So if it was like, hey man, this is a toss-up game, Chiefs Broncos are evenly matched, it would be Broncos -3. So for the Chiefs to be on the road -3.5, that's a big swing in points in this one. So, and the Broncos do have some injuries that could be affecting things as well. The over-under is 44.5, so not expecting a ton of points in this one. Do you think this line is correct? Do you think it should be bigger? It's Mile High. It's a tough place to play. They're 8-2. Defense is still good.
It's hard to make it bigger. Sometimes you get 2.5 as kind of an even line too, like you said, 2.5, 3. Yeah. So they're definitely giving a nod to the Chiefs here, but the Chiefs have lost 2 more games. It's a divisional game. They don't always play as well on the road in Mile High. So I think it's a nod of respect to the Chiefs just based on their history. And I think it shows you that Vegas thinks the Chiefs are not, their record is not necessarily reflective of who they truly are, is the way I would put it. Like Vegas clearly still believes in the Chiefs. You see that reflected in the Super Bowl odds as well. So
yeah.
And
it's Andy Reid after a bye. We all know the legendary Andy Reid after a bye statistics. He's excellent. So it's going to be an interesting game. What do you think the Chiefs need to do in this one as far as attacking this Broncos defense? Because they're a little banged up. You lose your linebacker, you lose your best corner, the best corners in the league. Chiefs don't have any running backs. So do you expect them to come out and try to sling it against this Broncos defense?
I do. I think they need to feed Rashee Rice early and often, because without their best corner, without their captain linebacker, I think he's set up nicely here. So you can't totally get away from the run, but I think like Rice is going to have a really nice game. And I expect the opening game script, the like first 15 plays to be really sharp. Sometimes the Chiefs get in trouble after that's done. So, but the key is really just to keep that Broncos defense on the field and wear them down. So these first few drives will be pivotal because the Chiefs, they want to get up. That's the environment they want to play in.
Yeah, it was an ugly, the Broncos are going to want to make this one ugly, I'm guessing, if they can.
Correct.
And lean on their defense because they have been struggling in offense. This Broncos defense, man, they've played 10 games. They're only giving up 270 yards per game. The only teams better average-wise than that are the Browns. Poor Browns fans, man. They have like the second best defense in the league, and they just cannot win anything.
I think some of that probably too. They do have a very good defense, but teams just don't have to score that much against the Browns. Right. They kind of like shut things down a little bit. So, and that's not necessarily.
They run on them. Keep away from Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and that's not really the case with the Broncos, who what's really apparent to me is like the shoe is on the other foot from last year. The Chiefs have been kind of bad at closing out tight games, and the Broncos have been miraculous. Bo Nix has played his best ball in the fourth quarter. They've played great situational football on both sides in crunch time. And so this is not a week for the Chiefs to play with their food and wait until the last second to close this out, because they just haven't had very good luck with that. And the Broncos they've been great closers, frankly.
Yeah. And if you look at actually the Chiefs defense in yards per game, they're sixth. So when you do points per game, though, the Broncos give up 17.3 points per game. The Chiefs, 17.7. And the Chiefs gone up against some good offenses. So the Chiefs defense doesn't get the shine of the Broncos defense, and part of that's probably the record. And if they had beaten Buffalo, I think the narrative was starting on the Chiefs, like they look unstoppable, they're blowing teams out again, the defense is strong, and then they lost to the Bills, and now everybody's like questioning them again. But they're only giving up 17 points a game in this one. You can run on the Chiefs a little bit; they give up 104 yards per game, but if and the Broncos. The Broncos rushing yards per game are only 91.2. So, I think you got to you want to try to throw on these guys, but the passing yards per game, interestingly enough, Broncos 179, Chiefs 187. So Chiefs just need to lean into their strengths here and do what they do. They don't need to get crazy and try to run Kareem Hunt 30 times in this game. Offensively is where the Broncos are kind of meh. They're middle of the pack with 334 total yards per game and points per game. Chiefs are at 26.1, which is like around 10, 11. The Broncos, I lost them. They're at 23.5 points per game. So Bo Nix has struggled. We talked about that at times. Do you think the Chiefs can turn him over? Because this is how you go on the road and you turn Bo Nix over, and I think it's curtains.
They can. He's obviously well coached, and if you allow him to be comfortable with that line and with that play caller, he can be excellent. He can be a homeless man's Drew Brees with better scrambling. But much like Daniel Jones, I think if it becomes a situation where he's having to manufacture a bunch of points, that is not conducive to that offense. So I think what the Chiefs want to do is they want to create a game like first 1 to 30 wins, because the Denver Broncos are not going to win that game. They're going to win that game like 1 out of 20 times. But if this is a 13 to 10 type game, the Chiefs might win that game 1 out of 20 times. So right. I think they need to score. And then with Bo Nix, I don't know. I've just never been like last season to me was kind of like Truman Showy. Nobody had tape on this kid. He had the healthiest, best offensive line in football. Sean Payton was deep into his bag. It just doesn't feel real with me with Bo Nix. Like, I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I don't think he's like a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Even like a guy like Eli Manning that can get hot and string together 3 games good enough, 4 games good enough to win a Super Bowl. I just don't see that in Bo Nix. He's welcome to prove me wrong on Sunday and again later this season in the playoffs, but this is the show me state, guys. Like, and I don't think he's shown us yet. If you look at like some of the deeper statistics, he is 25th in EPA plus completion percentage over expected. He is 21st in PFF grade. So I don't even think he's like necessarily a top half of the league quarterback yet, based on talent, even based on efficiency. We're seeing that in the numbers. And then you mentioned the supporting cast, like respect due to Cortland Sutton. And I think Troy Franklin is a nice depth piece. He's a pretty good player. I've always liked him, but where are the stars? RJ Harvey's a former converted quarterback. He's like a sexy Brashard Smith to me. They just don't have the horses offensively. They have a great offensive line. I really like that offensive line, but I just don't think they have the weapons to get into a track meet with the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs need to make it a track meet.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's weird. Bo Nix is, they won that game against the Giants and he threw the ball 50 times, completed 54% of his passes.
Well, the Giants have a meltdown problem. We've clearly seen that.
Yeah. He's thrown 8 interceptions this year. I think that's the big concern. He had 2 interceptions against a team like Tennessee. He threw a pick against the Raiders. He threw a pick against the Texans. His game against the Texans, now they have a really good defense, but the Chiefs have a good defense too. And this is a game that just did not go well for him. He only completed 48.7% of his passes against the Texans. They did win 18-15, but then he goes and he plays the Raiders. The Raiders are not a good defense by any stretch. And
they're well coached, though. I think Patrick Graham does a nice job.
Sure, yeah, they're well coached, but they don't have the talent. Like they just don't have it, right? And so he completes 57% of his passes, 5.4 yard average. He throws 2 interceptions. He's got a little bit. He's one of these guys. He rolls out all the time, and it's like he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. It's like you're playing Madden, right? And you're used to playing with the Chiefs, and you're used to playing with like Mahomes or Josh Allen, and then you go and you forget that you started playing a game as the Browns and you're throwing as Dylan Gabriel, and you're still trying to play like you're playing as Patrick Mahomes, and the accuracy is not there. And you chuck these long balls and you're getting picked off because you just can't do the things that your other quarterback could do. I think Bo Nix is suffering from a little bit of Dunning-Kruger syndrome right now. Like the record, he wants to be the guy, and I think he's trying too hard instead of playing within himself. That's, if you know what Dunning-Kruger is, it's just basically like, people don't know what they don't know. They think they're smarter than they are. And I think right now, Bo Nix thinks he's a better quarterback than he actually is. And it's getting his team into trouble. And he needs to be he needs to be Alex Smith, right? He needs to be the opposite of that. He's like, I got a great defense. I need to, take what the defense gives me. And he's not doing that. And that's how the Chiefs win this. They go out there, they attack, they execute. They need to open this game like they did against the Bills in the playoffs last year. Sharp, move down, score, operation is sound, get that lead, start making Bo Nix. He's looking around, and you said the same thing. Where are the stars? He's got a rookie in the backfield, injuries. He's going to try to put it on his own shoulders, starts dropping back to pass, and then Steve Spagnuolo can light him up. This is the way for the Chiefs, but this is a frisky Denver team, and right now they've earned the respect to be feared. If you're the Chiefs, you're going in a mile high. They're 8-2. So let's get to our Final score predictions on this one. I'll kick us off this time. I think it's going to be closer than we would like. It's the mile high factor. There's fans out there in Denver are great. I don't like them, but they're great. And the defense, I think, will still be able to cause some problems for the Chiefs along with the crowd noise. So, but I am going to take the Chiefs in this one. I think they are the better team if they execute. Give me Chiefs 24, Broncos 20. What about you, Adam?
You mentioned the Houston Texans having a great defense and the Chiefs defense also being good. I think the difference is the Texans, that defense is constructed to get pressure with 4. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, that defensive line can get pressure. The Chiefs so far haven't really been that. Hopefully a week off for Chris Jones is helpful. But I think they're kind of going to depend on Spags and his bag of tricks to get that pressure rate up and really heat up quarterbacks as the season goes on. But I think having an extra week to prepare for Bo Nix puts him in a good situation. When I see Bo Nix, I see Jake Plummer. I don't mean that as an insult, but I think that's he might think he's Mahomes, or Sean Payton might think he's Mahomes, as he said in the draft. But I see Jake Plummer. But I think the Chiefs are going to come out and make a statement. I think they've been extremely frustrated with this season to date, with Josh Simmons and Rashee Rice both back. Their team is finally assembled, and I think they are ready to roll. I have the Chiefs 31-17. I think it's going to look a lot like that game we saw with the Detroit Lions. The Broncos might even come out, have a good opening game script, score once. But I'm not worried about that as long as the Chiefs keep scoring, because Steve Spagnuolo, his like defensive algorithm, he figures shit out as the game goes on. And as long as the Chiefs can get a lead and not allow these guys to play the game they want to play, I think they're going to take care of business.
I hope you're right, man. We need them to execute. They can't fool around. They just can't. This isn't a bad Broncos team. So they can't just go out there and mess around on the road at Mile High and expect to win. All right. Let us know in the chat if you've got predictions. I see Jalen Butler says 28-14, KC. Let's do it. Cody says you got to get to the quarterback. They have to, man. They got to figure it out. And I'm looking at you, Chris Jones. You got a lot of money on that contract. We need you, buddy. We need you, big guy. I know you know that. You don't need some moron like me to tell you, but I'll say it anyway. All right. This is we're going to move on to Patty's Power Rankings. If you were here just for football talk, we appreciate you. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you want to become a member, check out the link in the description. But at the end of the shows I do with Adam, we talk movies. We're both big movie guys here. And we pick a year and we rank our 3 faves from that year. Not necessarily the best movies, but 3 we really like. And this year, so we messed up. When we started doing this, we didn't know it was going to become a popular reoccurring segment. We have not written down what years we've done, and we're starting to forget. And I had us trying to do 1982, I think. And we had done that already. So I don't think we did 2019. We might have, but we're doing 2019. Adam picked it. The Chiefs won the first Super Bowl with Mahomes. Why don't you kick us off with your honorable mentions?
I love this year. I think as we get further away from it, it's pretty recent, but it's going to end up being one of those years like, I don't know, like 1999 or some of the other ones that we associate with being great years for film. So my honorable mentions really quickly are Ford versus Ferrari, just old school muscular sports movie with great performances that I love and I find extremely rewatchable. And I love a good high school movie. I just do, especially when they're well done. I thought Booksmart was tremendous, really well done, really funny movie. So I like that one a lot. But my third is Knives Out and the Whodunit by Rian Johnson, which has launched a franchise. And I'm very excited about, I think it's called Dead Man Walking, the third installment in this franchise. It's coming out on Netflix over the holidays. So and word of mouth so far has been very good, but Daniel Craig has, a Southern fried detective, which it's just a lot of fun. I mean, he's chewing the fat and having fun with it. But just these casts are so stacked. And I think this is something that I'm going to probably revisit yearly for a long time, just because it's a lot of fun. And I think it's so well done. And I've always been an Agatha Christie fan, like a whodunit fan. for a long time. So
Nice. Yeah. Knives Out, very, very surprising and popular entry into the genre. And it's got legs. It's getting sequels. So for me, I went for my honorable mention, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You and I are both big Tarantino guys. I haven't gotten to watch this over and over again like I usually like to do with his movies, but I really enjoyed it. Fantastic cast. Brad Pitt's fantastic in this. You got Leo, you got Margot Robbie, Al Pacino, the great Bruce Dern, his performance in Hateful Eight is one of my all-time favorite he's so good. He shows up in a lot of things. Emil Hirsch, Margaret Qualley. It's just a Timothy Olyphant of Deadwood fame. So I mean, it's just
Austin Butler, and Mikey Madsen were also. Uma and Ethan Hawke's daughter.
I can't remember. She's in Stranger Things. Maya.
Yeah, when you're Tarantino, you just get not only you get all the great older actors and like actors in their prime, you get the next generation of actors.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's fun. It's kind of hard to describe. I think you just have to watch it and go on the ride, but it's terrific. My number 3 though is a little film that I think is underrated and underseen, and it's called Ready or Not. And it's funny we mentioned Margot Robbie because this actress she's a scream queen. She's in a lot of horror movies. She's terrific. Her comic timing is impeccable. Her name is Samara Weaving, and she's been in a few really interesting horror films. This one's kind of like a horror thriller mystery comedy about a woman who gets married to this guy, and she's in her wedding dress, and they're having at the family estate. They're rich, and it turns out they're all devil worshippers, and they engage in this crazy ritual where one person has to get killed. They hunt. It's like the most dangerous game. They have to hunt them down and kill them, and so it's I'm telling you, it's really entertaining. She's fantastic. She has this great scream queen scream in this movie where she just ends up in this crazy situation where everybody's trying to kill her in this crazy family. It's totally fantastic. Again, it's called Ready or Not. And Samara Weaving, if you haven't seen her and stuff, like she looks exactly like Margot Robbie. It freaks me out. The whole time I'm watching her, I'm thinking about Margot Robbie, but she's a great actress in her own right. And this is a terrific film. You got to check it out if you haven't seen it.
I love this movie. She is the niece of Agent Smith and Elrond from Lord of the Rings.
No
Hugo Weaving
shit.
is her uncle. Yeah. And
Oh.
she looks like Margot Robbie if Margot Robbie had to Hugo Weaving.
It's crazy. I didn't know you'd seen this movie. It's so good.
I watched it once, but it reminded me of a movie that I really love. It's better than this movie, but there's a movie called Surviving the Game with Ice-T and Gary Busey, where they basically pick up this homeless guy, these rich guys do, and they train him and they nurse him back to health. And then they say, all right, you have 10 minutes to run and we're going to try to kill you. And it's just like a batshit crazy movie. But the other thing that this brought to mind, Ready or Not, is this year, my number 3 was definitely in this camp. My number 1 will be in this camp. And a movie called Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez, it was pretty good actually, is in this camp too. A big like wealth inequality year, big kind of like eat the rich, class consciousness, class warfare kind of year for film. So I think it fits in. It's like elevated horror. Like not only is it fun and well written, it like actually thematically says something. So cannot recommend it highly enough.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is a movie I love. It may say something about me that I find it so rewatchable and revisit so often, but that's Uncut Gems. I love serious Adam Sandler. I mean, I think he's just, I'm so perplexed by the career of Adam Sandler, how he can go back and forth between some of the shittiest movies I've ever seen. No offense. Like, I understand that some people like them and they're, good to throw on and wind down to while you're scrolling on your phone. But then he goes and makes Punch Drunk Love or Uncut Gems. And you're like, And I hear in the upcoming Jay Kelly, he might get nominated again. So this movie, though, by the Safdie brothers, what a ride. You got Kevin Garnett playing himself, which I think he actually does a good job of. And the weird thing, have you seen this? You've seen it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The weird thing about this is they originally wrote it for Kobe, and then they had to rewrite it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
They wrote it for Amari Stoudemire, and he had to drop out, and Kevin Garnett was their third pick. So they were trying to get this.
And he was good.
Yeah, he's a charismatic guy. You know, he's a kind of a unique, charismatic guy. And I don't know, this movie is just like a pure, in the same way that something like Whiplash is, it's a white knuckler, but in an enjoyable way. You know,
it's a hard watch. The way it's directed and the pacing is exhausting. And you talk about white knuckler, like then that movie was over. I was like, I really like that, but you thinking that's rewatchable? I don't know, man. It's a tough watch. It's really good, but it's exhausting. You're
talking to the guy who's watched like No Country for Old Men like 30, 40 times. So
yeah. It's a terrific film. Great choice. Great Adam Sandler performance. Number 2 for me is Dr. Sleep. This movie, man, is, if you don't know it, it's a sequel to The Shining that came out in 2019. And if you've ever seen The Shining, you know the little kid and Shelley Duvall survive, and this is about Jack Torrance, the little kid in that movie, years later as an alcoholic, and he's got psychic abilities. This movie is how you do a sequel. There are other ways, but like if you want to like ensure success, it's not like let's go back to the Overlook Hotel and tell the exact same story and play all the hits. You know, this is how it's done, man. This movie is fantastic. It's its own story. It's with characters, you know, but it's progressing. And that's the problem with a lot of sequels, right? They think they have to play the hits. You end up with the same lesser movie than you had before. That's not surprising because everybody knows the deal now. And then this is how you make a really good sequel. It's completely different. It's basically about these kind of like vampire type beings that suck life force out of people. It's really scary. It stars Ewan McGregor, who's one of my all-time favorite actors. It's got one of the most disturbing and upsetting scenes that I can remember in cinema history, where something bad happens to a child. And I've not watched the movie since I had my kid. It's going to be even a rougher watch next time I watch it. But Dr. Sleep is fantastic. It's scary. It's a great movie, a good story. And it plays off a story that you know, but is a completely own new self-contained thing.
Whew, this one shook me, man. I was a big fan of The Shining growing up, but it's also the movie that scares me the most. And it's just like stuck to my bones. Like I can't get rid of how much that movie shook me. So this one also shook me. And I think Rebecca Ferguson is just unbelievable as an actress. So I think that is a great one. I'm not surprised either. I think that's a good pick for you. Number 1, this one isn't going to be surprising for people who know me and people who know this year. It's Parasite. Just one of those movies you watch and you just think like, how did this person come up with this? And spoiler territory. I think this is always spoiler territory. If you haven't seen these movies, you should probably just not listen, you know? Maybe the more obscure ones, we don't try to like give as much away, but there's a scene with the peach where it's basically a heist where this family of basically grifters is screwing over a housekeeper to basically infiltrate this rich family. And I think it's the best 10 minutes of cinema of this century so far. I really do. I think that's how good it is. But this movie, in terms of bringing the thematic goodness of the class disparity and everything around the world, but in South Korea in particular, and like the poor family, like living like in a subterranean apartment, and the rich family like being isolated up on this hill that you have to walk to. I mean, everything works. I won't give away the more like the secrets of the theme that developed later. But if you haven't seen this, it won Best Picture. I think both the audience and the industry people that did the 10 best films of the past 25 years for the New York Times, this was the top on both lists. Without people, it was blind too. Like people didn't know what other people were picking. So pretty impressive.
It was a terrific movie. It really, really was. It's worth. I only watched it once when it came out, but it's worth a revisit because it is great and it's in my genre. So loved it. Okay, last up for me is Avengers Endgame. You know, this movie is it kind of reminds me. It's very good. I actually think it's really good. It's satisfying. And it's a culmination of so much work. It kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Like it wins Best Picture. Like, is it the best one? I don't know. Like you know what I mean? Like, is it the one that should get Best Picture? It was like, and there was talk about like it got Best Picture because it was sort of awarding the entire trilogy for its work that it had done. And Avengers Endgame is an excellent movie, and it is the culmination of all of these superhero movies over years and years and years with really winning characters. It's like some people don't like the superhero movies and all the Marvel stuff. And like, I get it. There's a little bit of fatigue there even for me, but like, it's just satisfying. The characters are so winning. The dialogue is sharp and good. It's exciting. It's dramatic. It's sort of what, if you like action movies, like this is it's just satisfying, right? Like it's not empty calories. It's good. It's got some really interesting characters and moments, and hats off to them for finding a way to stick this landing, because it's hard to do. It's hard to stick a landing. And if everybody remembers the hype that this movie had, like two-parter finale to this end of this era of these movies, the expectations were sky high. And I'm sure they're out there because there's haters about everything, but like, I don't remember a single person being like, God, they really ruined it. Endgame sucked. Like, it's like Game of Thrones was so good. And then like the last season was like, man, everybody hated it. They nailed it. I mean, it was perfect in my opinion. And what an accomplishment.
I think I like Infinity War better, but you kind of have to think about them like Kill Bill 1 and 2, or probably even more so like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, right? Because you have that cliffhanger of the snap, and just like Black Panther is gone, Spider-Man is gone, Star-Lord is gone, Doctor Strange is gone. Like all these people are gone, like major characters. And sure, like Iron Man and the Hulk, the main Avengers are still all around, right? For the most part. Yeah. So, but I think they finished so well that they raised the bar to a level that Marvel will probably, at least in the near future, never be able to replicate. Like they did this era so well, starting with Iron Man and having us follow these characters all the way to the end of that story, that it was kind of a one-time deal. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like it's, I don't know. You kind of had to be there, and it was a special thing to experience if you are into comic books like I was as a kid. So I think it's a great choice, and I would have had it somewhere on my list if you didn't.
Yeah, it was lightning in a bottle for sure. All right, everybody, long show, but we appreciate you. I got to go get my kid from daycare, so we're gonna call it. We'll be back this weekend with our Arrowhead Addict pregame, halftime, and postgame show. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you're reading everything over at arrowheadaddict.com. Like I said, you've been listening to the Arrowhead Addict podcast, but we're just not a podcast. We're the official podcast and YouTube channel of arrowheadaddict.com. That's providing Chiefs fans with the absolute best coverage of the Chiefs Kingdom from real, authentic fans like you. Arrowhead Addict is a proud member of the Fan-Sided Network, the home for fans. So make sure you check out arrowheadaddict.com for all your latest news, updates, and analysis on your Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you to the blog father, Adam Best. Thank you to producer Richard and all our members. I'm Patrick Allen. We'll see you on Sunday. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.